Alpha Centauri is only 4 light years away, friends. That's even closer than Sirius. Now, that's very interesting because, as we said, Sirius is 8 light years away, and it's 10 times larger than our sun. So therefore, we can calculate that we are actually in the gravitational pull of Sirius. Because like our sun, who has 1 light year around our sun, is within the gravitational pull of the sun. So, planets such as Pluto that would go out beyond Pluto, that might extend even as far as a light year away from the sun, would still be in the gravitational pull of the sun. So, if Sirius is 10 times larger than the sun, then its gravitational pull might be as much as 10 times further out than our sun's, putting the gravitational pull of Sirius to probably upwards of 10 light years away from Sirius. And since we live within 8 light years of Sirius, we are in the gravitational pull of Sirius. And our sun is then a companion star to Sirius. So then what about Alpha Centauri, which is only 4 light years from our Earth? Well, you see, Alpha Centauri is about the same size as the sun. It's just about exactly. And you can't even see, from where we're at here in America, you can very rarely even see Alpha Centauri, but it's down at the horizon. If you're in Australia, you can see it very well. It's a very, very bright star. It's like number 2 or 3 in brightness. Sirius is the brightest star. Vega is like the 5th brightest star in the sky. That's why when you go out at night, the first 2 that you see from where we're at here in America is Vega and Sirius. But what about Alpha Centauri at 4 light years away? You see, this is a very important place, and the Bible talks about it. Most of you are familiar with the book of Job, which talks about the Pleiades and Orion and Arcturus. Arcturus is another very important star, friends. That's about 36 light years, I believe, something like around 40 light years away. Not very far. It's very close to us. And so many of our brothers and relatives that live there, and we've probably spent time in some of our incarnations on Arcturus and perhaps on the Pleiades and some lifetimes on Vega and yes, sometimes on Alpha Centauri. But where is this Alpha Centauri? Where is it mentioned in the Bible? Well, it says in Job chapter 38 that the Pleiades have chains. And it says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? See, there's a cord. And Orion has got these cords just pulling us towards in the southern hemisphere. Right? And we don't want to go that direction. It's pulling us down like cords. See, and it pulls all of the constellations around. And this is the rules or the regulations of the sky. The Bible talks about the zodiac, or as it says, the Mazzaroth. But then, after it mentions Arcturus and her sons, or the bear and her cubs, then it says it says the chambers of the south. Well, the chambers of the south, the deepest south, the furthest south as you can go, is Alpha Centauri, and that is what it's speaking of there in the book of Job. And that's in the deep, deep south. If you look south from where we're at here in America, you look over the southern horizon, you'll see Alpha Centauri. On very rare occasions you can see it here in America, but you can see it better there in Australia. But you see, those chambers, see, they translated the chambers of the south. It's almost like saying the prison, right? Why would the southern star Alpha Centauri be considered a prison? Well, it's not very far from Earth. Now remember, Orion is in the southern direction. but it's 1,000 light years from the Earth. Orion is the 9th gate. That's a long ways. We're not quite there. See, here on the Earth, we're somewhere in the middle between the first cross and the southern cross that's in the southern hemisphere. You've got the northern cross, which we talked about with Cygnus. This is where this all begins. There's this great ring nebula that sort of takes and puts us into this very strange quark matter, brings us down into this place that we call the Orion's Arm along this path. This is where we find all these astrological signs. So this is why it says in the book of Job, can you bind the influences, the sweet influences of the Pleiades? See, they're in the north. But you bind those. How do you bind them? What's pulling them with cords? See, these are the cords of Orion. Can you loose the cords of Orion? Orion's 1,000 light years south, the 9th gate, and we're all being pulled along towards that gate down into this depth. See, this is where Inanna went through the 9 gates of hell, and she was stripped of everything she had. We're all being pulled along by the ropes or the cords of Orion. See, and these sweet influences of the Pleiades are being pulled down. You see, can you bind this influence? Can you pull these sweet influences on down with these cords of Orion? Can you guide Arcturus with her sons? Job 9 talks about this, and also in chapter 38. And it mentions these specific constellations of Orion, the Pleiades, and Arcturus. Why does it mention Arcturus? Well, you see, Arcturus, if you look up in the sky, the way you find it, it's in the northern hemisphere. You're looking north towards the Vega, but towards Polaris. This is where we're being pulled down through this hole from. We came through this area, and we're looking down. When you look north, you're looking down the Orion Arm towards the center of the galaxy. This is where it all began. And so you're going to guide Arcturus with his sons. There's a group of stars that follow with Arcturus. And he's called the Bear Guard. The reason for that is because if you follow the bear or the Big Dipper and you follow its handle all the way down, you go all the way to Arcturus. That's that star that goes around in that circle around Polaris. It used to go around Vega, but that's that little northern hemisphere area that you look at. You see, so the Bible's saying, can you guide Arcturus? Who's guiding it? Who's pulling on it? We're all being pulled down this drain, like we're just being sucked down the drain. See, this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Even scientists today, they really don't understand what gravity is. What is this strange energy? Why does the galaxy spiral around like that? Well, it's very simple, friends. Have you ever seen water go down the drain? It just. You ever gone to an old dusty barn? And you open up the door and you see the dust sort of blow around, and as the sunlight beam goes through the barn door, you notice all these little swirls of dust. What causes that? Heat and cold, when they come together, they cause a vortice. That's it, friends. Negative and positive, when they come together, they cause a vortice. We see it every day when we get a high pressure, in the weather system, and then it causes hurricanes and tornadoes and wind. And the wind stirs up the dust, and the little particles or the planets or the things that are in that dust, they start spinning around each other. And so the great galaxy is just this huge vortice spinning around in space because of negative and positive, because of the forces of heat and cold. I know on a large scale, friends, but to us it sounds, and it's amazing. But if you could get back and look at the galaxy and all the galaxies together, and you could just see this all swirling around down there, it would just look like some dust swirling in the wind. See, no big deal. Somebody opened the barn door, and all these little planets and suns and everything are just spinning around each other because of this mysterious force we call wind, that gets started because of two forces that come together, and they begin to try to find equilibrium, and they may begin to spin. And so it's the same thing. We got these rivers that go out from the galaxy. There's 4 of these rivers. If you look at them, you'll see that they're like swirling arms. So everything in that swirl is being pulled around and around and around, like going down the drain. See, that's why the planets circle around the sun. You see, the planet doesn't really just revolve around the sun like, oh, okay, let's just, for some reason we got this magical force that we're just in the sun's gravity, and then also another force that just makes us go round and round. No, 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 no. The sun is moving in extreme velocity, and in its swirling vortice behind it, the wind that it causes around it, the Earth and the Moon and Jupiter and all these things just get caught up in its vortice. So the sun is also following larger stars. As we said, we're in the gravitational pull of Sirius. Well, what does that mean? We're in its vortice. Sirius is 10 times larger than the sun, and it's going like lickety-split right on down this long Orion arm, just like a big tornado. And we're just, we're caught up in Sirius's vortice. So we're just spinning around and around and around in this large vortice. And behind us, there's Alpha Centaurus, only 4 light years away. Not very far, friends. See, they're caught up in our vortice. They're going down the chain from us towards the south. We're following Sirius, and Sirius is following the Pleiades and Cygnus, and this is this sort of this long chain. And the way down there in the interior rooms of the south, this area, this inner where the prison house is, at the end of the river Styx, at the end of the Orion arm, is this place in the mythology that they call the 9th gate, and that's Orion. But before you get to Orion, you're going to come to Zeta Reticuli, which is only about 39 light years towards the south. That's why you can't even see Zeta Reticuli from the Earth in the northern hemisphere. Sometimes you can see it like if you're way down in Australia or in Brazil or something, because it's in the southern hemisphere. It's way down at the southern horizon. So Zeta Reticuli is 39 light years south. Alpha Centauri is only 4 light years south. Both of those stars are in this inner chambers of the south that the book of Job talks about, that's pulling along everything else. We're all just being sucked into this degradation, this carnal nature. And at the end of the river Styx, when you pass the 9th gate of Orion, you enter into Tartarus, or the abyss. And who comes up out of the abyss? Well, it's in the book of Revelation, friends. It says in the book of Revelation that there was these abyss, and the god of the abyss, of course, is Apollyon. Apollyon is the destroyer. See, we're all going down the tube. We're going down the drain. We're getting more carnal and lower. These forces are just, pulling us along. Cords of Orion. And this is destruction. The flesh is like dark forces that destroy us, that leads us down this path. And what comes up out of this abyss? Well, all these horses. The shapes of the locusts were like horses prepared into battle, and their heads were with crowns like gold, and their faces were the faces of men. Oh my goodness, friends, do you see what this is? Many of you Christians don't believe in mythology. Oh no, you don't believe in those Greek mythologies. And yet your Bible is telling you about this Hades, this realm of Apollyon, the destroyer, and his centaurs. Have you ever read the story of centaur in the Greek mythology? This is the Alpha Centauri, friends. These are the centaurs. They were half horse, and they had faces of men. And they come up out of this inner chamber of the south, the bottomless pit, at the end of the river Styx. Oh, and they're vicious. These are these weird looking things that today we, as Christians, we call them demons. Right? But what they are, they're not demons. They're carnal kings. There's quite a bit of scuttlebutt going around about this Zeta Reticuli. People are saying that these beings, they're called the GREYS. They're all having contact with the GREYS, and they're saying that there's these little. They've had several things go on here. There was some people named Barney Hill and Betty Hill that were supposedly abducted by these GREYS, these UFO little aliens that you see. That we're being bombarded with all of this stuff about these little GREYS. You always see these big eyes and these little round heads. This is not what people from other planets look like, friends. You see, these are just simply robots. They're androids. They don't crash on Earth and go, oops, they found us. And then now they've seen our big blue eyes, staring at them. They wouldn't never be, crashing on our Earth. They would never let this happen. So these aliens that we're seeing all over the newspapers and, this is just androids, friends. These aren't the real thing. If they ever landed on this Earth and there would be another ship here within seconds to pick them up, there's no way that they would allow our teams and research teams to get there first and take these aliens and put them into these. If we had an alien from another planet and somewhere in a hospital down here or in Area 51 or something where we're dissecting it or whatever, they'd literally come down there in stealth, take this body from us. If they didn't want us to have it, this is all insanity, friends. Now, they have certainly made contact with us, and they have been here for some time, openly talking to our government, manipulating a lot of things that's going on. They're not going to do this publicly because, you see, they have a reason for keeping us all in the dark. And even the President of the United States does not really know what's going on. I talked about this in another video. They crashed there in Roswell, and they found these alien bodies. Well, Eisenhower went down some years after that to try and find out what was going on in Area 51 and try and figure out what actually happened. And they refused to tell him. And they let him know in no uncertain terms that they were in charge and not him. There were certain individuals on this planet that were farther up the chain than our president. Now, he threatened to take the army to go down there and expose all this. And he found out right quick that he had no authority to do such a thing. He didn't even run this country. They do. Now, I guarantee, friends, spiritually advanced beings are not taking over our planet. They are here only to watch and to help. When you pray, angels come to help you. They do not force you. They have a prime directive. They never do anything to intimidate you or to control. Any beings that want to control are they may be highly technologically advanced, but they're not spiritually advanced. And who would these beings be? They would be these chords of Orion, these beings that live in the southern hemisphere. See, this is these biblical demons. Why are they called half horse and half human? Because, you see, this explains they were born from the centaurs. This explains this mythology. When you go back to this Greek mythology and you see that they were very ruthless, carnal beings. They weren't, they were human, yes. They had human faces. But they were very carnal, like the horse. And horses have always been in mythology and in symbolism has always been lustful and carnal. This is why one of the ancient mythologies about where they came from was from Ares, see, the lustful god. And they were spawned from human lust. What these centaurs represent, friends, is the lower carnal parts of the human nature that gets into trouble and that wants to make these technologically advanced things and create one world governments and control. These are those who control our government and are getting us into all of this trouble. And as the book of Revelation says, all of these carnal forces were conquered by Christ, and he sent them into hell and threw them into the bottomless pit. Right? It's been conquered. That means that you and I are all going to conquer. We're going to go down these gradations, and we're going to make this descent. And at the very bottom, when we get through the seventh gate, then we're going to go back and ascend. We're going to overcome all of these things. The fire is going to burn up all the dross, but it's going to purify the gold and the silver, which is our soul, the precious part. And that is the part that's going to be redeemed. Christ is going to go down there into hell. He's going to redeem his body. But in the meantime, he's got to really, kill a lot of beasts and crazy, centaurs that try to screw things up. And in one of the mythologies, the centaurs crash this wedding and try to rape the women and take off with the bride. See, this is talking about, we're all in this course where heaven and earth is coming together, and we're learning and growing. We're going to have this great wedding. Somebody shows up at the wedding that, really wasn't invited, and is brutal and tries to rape the bride and run off with the bride stuff and ruin the wedding. See, these carnal, half horse, half men. This is that carnal nature. And in fact, 4 light years from Earth is a place called Alpha Centauri, and this is this place that mythology talks about, where these beings that are very carnal but highly advanced technologically have come to this earth and set up their government. Now remember, the original place where they set up the government millions of years ago was Vega. And this is in the northern sky. This is where it all began. They began to descend. And remember, there's a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels battled with the dragon and his angels, and they threw them out of heaven. And where did they throw them? They throw them down into this pit at the other end, you see. And this is all symbolic of the fact that the demons that are in us are being conquered, friends. And they're going to be left in this bottomless pit. And everything good is going to be redeemed. But the demons, they dwell in the deepest recesses of your soul. And every so often they want to come up out of there and go crazy and start, raping the body or pillaging our own physical reality and messing with our mind. They're beneath the surface of every one of us. All of us have fears deep down in the recesses of our mind, and lusts and problems and things we've got to overcome. We haven't quite overcome yet. But Christ overcome all of these things and sent it all down to the deepest pit. But in the book of Revelation, you see, it comes back up out of that bottomless pit. These horse, half men, these centaurs. It's mythology, but it's a personification of truths. And there's a lot of reality going on here. Because, you see, we really live in a real galaxy, and we really are graduating down the arm. We did have to descend into the depths of this physical world to overcome these carnal natures. We really did. And we did really start off there at the beginning, 1,000 light years towards the north, coming down this Orion arm. And we are really going towards the constellation Orion as it pulls us with its cord. And as we go down deeper into the carnal nature, we learn to overcome, friends. So yes, Alpha Centauri and Zeta Reticuli are in the chambers of the south. It's spoken of in the book of Job, and this is a real place, and there are real beings that live there, very carnal, who right now have control over part of our psyche, friends. And it's leading us to do crazy things here in this world. We've got crazy people that are very, very carnal ruling over us. And those of us who know the truth within us and have begin to realize and become enlightened, we've got to overcome this. We can't go backwards. We've got to say to these, these people that are ruling over us, the elite, that are being guided and controlled by these alien forces that perhaps live on Alpha Centauri. No. We're going to overcome these dark forces where you're trying to control us. You put us in these little religions and you teach us all this propaganda, and you want us to be afraid, and you want us to believe that our Father in heaven is going to send us to hell, but we don't believe you. You're going to lose. And they're going to have to step down. They have no right to take us by force. They can only deceive us. So we're being deceived right now, and we've got to wake up, friends, and we've got to tell everybody that we know it's time to wake up. So anyway, friends, I'm going to close there for today. And of course, this is a series, and we're going to pick it up again here tomorrow, right where we left off. There's so much more to learn, friends. It's a fascinating journey to learn about our history, our galaxy, astronomy, astrology, who we are, and the great adventure that we've got ahead of us. Oh my goodness, for all of eternity. The height, the depth, and the width, and the breadth no man has ever known, but it is so amazing, friends. We're in our Father's clutches, and He's got us, and He's holding on, and there's no way we can get out of His grasp, because He is the Father of light. See? He dwells in unapproachable light. He's love, only love, all the time, every day, 24 hours of every day, and 7 days a week. 365 days out of every year, and you see, 1,000 years is just like one day to Him. He's the grand master of the universe. He loves, and there is no darkness in union with Him. He dwells in that unapproachable light. He has nothing to do with all these little inner workings, all this illusion that's going on in our own minds. And as we go forward to work out, our own salvation, He allows us the time. He is patient with us. A day to the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. He's not slow, as some men understand slowness, but He's patient with us, that we might all attain unto this salvation, friends. So let's go forward and let's attain, and let's love one another. Let's give to those who need. Let's clothe those who are naked, and feed those who are hungry, and enlighten those who are in the dark. If you see somebody today that needs anything, friends, just somebody that needs a hug, maybe you've got several $100s in the bank and you don't have any specific thing that you need to do with that money, and you see somebody along the road that kind of doesn't know what to do, and their battery's gone and they don't have the money, buy them a new battery. Get them a tire for their car. Help them out. Get them some clothes for their children. That if you see somebody that looks like their clothes are a little ragged, maybe mom and dad doesn't have enough this month to buy them school clothes or whatever, just do something out of the love and the compassion within you, because that is what it means to be a human, friends, on the path upward and onward. And so this is what the brother of the Lord Jesus, our Lord and Savior, said. St. James, who wrote the book of James. He says this is what true religion is. It's not following a bunch of laws or the works of law, but it's the works of faith and the works of love. When you see someone who's hungry, you feed them. That is true religion, friends. See, you can read about this in the Epistle of James in your New Testament. For those of you who really want to please our Father in heaven, it says it's impossible to please Him without faith, and that means that it doesn't mean you got to cower down and be scared He's going to send you to hell. That's not what faith is. Faith is that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. This is true faith, that He is, and that He loves, and that He rewards us, and He cares for us, and that He wants us to give, to others. Just like Jesus gave His life for all, and He expects us also to love one another as He loved us. This is all there is, friends. Just love one another, and And forgive. You've made mistakes, so what? It's in the past. We're moving on. You didn't mean to. You didn't understand. You didn't know, at that time in your life. Maybe you did something terrible. Let it go. It's in the past. That's not who you are anymore. You see, you were abused and confused and beaten down, and now you've been given the gospel. You know the truth. You're a son of the living Father of heaven and earth, and you're the heir of all things. We're in a journey here. So let's go forward, friends, and tell everybody you know, and we'll see you again here tomorrow, guys. You guys have a great day. Signing out.